Close your eyes. Take a moment. Breathe. Before I even begin, I want you to be honest with yourself. How is your relationship, really? Not the version you show others. Not what you say when people ask. So, is everything good? I'm talking about what happens when the door closes, when the screens light up, when the silence sets in. Couples don't always fall apart because of a lack of love. They drift apart because of a lack of awareness. Friends, I want you to understand one essential thing. You can love someone and still feel lonely. You can be faithful and no longer feel chosen. You can live together and no longer be connected. And the most painful part, it doesn't happen overnight. It settles in slowly, in habits, in exhaustion, in the little comments we stop correcting, in the gestures we stop making, in the eye contact we stop seeking. And one day, without any dramatic scene, you realize something has drifted away. Not the love, the presence. Today, we live in a world where everything is fast. Notifications are immediate, messages are instant, temptations are just a click away. But love needs slowness, attention, intention. And if you're listening to this podcast, it's probably not by chance. Maybe your relationship is fine, but you feel it could be better. Maybe you're going through a fragile season. Maybe you've been hurt. Or maybe you simply refuse to let routine make the decisions for you. That is exactly why Levy Holiday Green wrote the book Express Your Love, a practical guide for couples. Not to give lectures, but to create a space where two people can find each other again, to speak differently, to truly understand each other, to choose each other all over again. In the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about situations where perhaps you might recognize yourself. And if you do, know one thing. It's not a dead end. It's an invitation. Situation number 1, the silent distance. Friends, when your relationship experiences silent distance, how do you react? You're in the same room, maybe on the couch, maybe at the dinner table, maybe in bed, each turned to your own side. There's no arguing, there's no shouting, there isn't even any apparent tension. There's just a strange calm. The kind of calm that isn't reassuring. Conversations have become functional. Did you pay the bill? What time are you coming home tomorrow? Don't forget the appointment. You're exchanging information, but you're no longer sharing your emotions. You're crossing paths, but you're no longer meeting. And sometimes, in a moment of clarity, you catch yourself thinking, we've become roommates, haven't we? It's not that the love is gone. It's that the love is no longer flowing. It's there, in the background, but it's not breathing anymore. You don't fight, but you don't consciously choose each other anymore either. Eye contact becomes rare. Affectionate gestures become mechanical. Spontaneous laughter becomes few and far between. And what's most unsettling is that everything seems normal. Not serious enough to sound the alarm, not dramatic enough to panic, but distant enough to create a void. Friends, let me tell you, this phase is one of the most dangerous, not because it's violent, but because it's silent. You don't realize the bond is weakening. You get used to the distance. You rationalize. You tell yourself it's just tiredness, work, the kids, the stress. And that's true. But behind those explanations, there is often a more subtle reality. We no longer take the time to nourish the bond. And love, without attention, doesn't disappear all at once. It slowly dries up. The real question isn't, do we still love each other? The real question is, are we still connected? Because love can exist without the connection being alive. And that is where it all begins. Situation number 2. Love exists, but it's no longer flowing in your relationship. Friends, when you know the love is there, but it's no longer flowing in your relationship, how do you react? There's been no betrayal, no scandal, no breakup. Your partner is there. They come home at night. They handle their responsibilities. They occasionally say, "I love you." They don't disrespect you in public or in private. And yet, there are moments where you feel profoundly alone. Not physically, emotionally. You are together, but you no longer feel chosen. Sometimes you feel like you've become a given, a habit, a safety net. They don't pursue you anymore. They don't look at you the way they used to. They don't touch you with the same presence. And what's troubling is that you almost feel guilty for feeling this way, because everything is fine. So you stay quiet. You tell yourself you're being too demanding, too sensitive, too nostalgic for the beginning. But deep down, it's not the beginning you miss. It's the intensity of the connection. You aren't asking for fireworks. You're asking for presence. A look that truly stops on you. Listening without distraction. A spontaneous gesture. Attention that isn't scheduled. And sometimes, in the silence of your mind, you ask yourself, do I still matter like I used to? It's a fragile question. A question few people dare to voice. Because it touches something deep. The need to be a priority in someone else's heart. Friends, let me tell you something essential. You can love sincerely and not know how to make that love felt. You can be faithful, present, and committed, and yet let the other person feel invisible. It's not always a lack of love. It's often a disconnect, a gap between what you are giving and what the other person needs to receive. You think you're showing your love. The other person feels like they don't feel it anymore. And little by little, a silent frustration settles in. You don't fight, but you shut down. You don't shout, but you pull away. And that's when the couple becomes fragile. Not because there's no more love, but because the love isn't flowing in the right language. The real question isn't, does he, she love me? The real question is, do I feel loved? Because loving and feeling loved are two different experiences. And a couple cannot last long if one of the two is missing. Situation number 3. when you start imagining your life without them. Friends, when you start imagining your life without the other person, how do you react? There's been no great betrayal, no explosion, no official breakup, but one day a thought crosses your mind. Fleeting. What if I left? You don't tell anyone. You don't even put it clearly into words, but the idea is there. Maybe after an argument, maybe after yet another silence, maybe after trying again and again to speak without being heard. You aren't necessarily dreaming of someone else. You're dreaming of peace, of lightness, of room to breathe, of a space where you no longer feel in constant tension. And that's what's scary, because you still love them, but you are tired. Tired of explaining, tired of asking, tired of adapting, tired of waiting for a change that never comes. And in certain moments of solitude, you begin to imagine your daily life differently. A quiet apartment, fewer conflicts, fewer frustrations, fewer disappointments. Not necessarily happier, but more peaceful. And this thought shakes you, because it doesn't feel like anger. It feels like a gradual detachment, and detachment is more dangerous than an argument. When you fight, there is still energy. When you detach, you start protecting yourself. You speak less. You share less. You hope less. You start preparing yourself internally, even without an official decision. Friends, let me tell you this. A relationship doesn't die the day you separate. It starts dying the day you stop trying. The day you no longer have the strength to fight for the bond. The day you think it's never going to change. And yet, in many cases, it isn't the love that's missing. It's the method. We no longer know how to talk to each other. We no longer know how to repair. We no longer know how to break the cycle. So we think leaving is the only solution. Sometimes leaving is necessary. But sometimes the couple doesn't need a separation. It needs a wake-up call. The real question isn't, should I leave? The real question is, have we really tried everything with the right tools? Because love can survive exhaustion. It can survive conflict. It can survive wounds. But it cannot survive indifference. If you recognized yourself in these situations, don't let this moment just be a realization. Turn it into action. Because understanding isn't enough. Deciding is. Think of those who decided to act before it was too late. Those who agreed to look themselves in the mirror, to speak differently, to learn what they were never taught. Express Your Love, a practical guide for couples, isn't a book to skim through. It's a moment to experience together. A tool to transform routine into connection. A framework to repair without causing more hurt. A space to choose each other again. Don't let the silence become your normal. Don't let the exhaustion become final. Don't let a fleeting thought become an irreversible decision. If your relationship matters to you, if you feel it deserves more than routine, more than silences, more than misunderstandings, then don't wait. Go to Amazon right now. Type in Express Your Love, Levy Holiday Green. Get the book, not to read it alone, but to open it together. Sit down face to face, turn off the screens, grab a pen, and begin. Every day you put off this decision, the distance can continue to grow. Every day you choose to act, you strengthen your bond. A strong couple isn't built by accident. It's built by commitment. Because loving isn't automatic. It's intentional. And sometimes a single conscious decision can change an entire story. And today you have a choice. Let things continue as they are, or invest in the love you want to preserve. The book Express Your Love is available now on Amazon. Don't put your relationship on hold. A couple isn't saved when everything goes wrong. It gets stronger when someone decides to love more consciously. The question isn't, is this going to last? The question is, am I ready to invest in the love I want to keep? One day, you will be proud of having chosen to fight for your love. The question is simple. Does that day start today? See you soon, friends, for a new episode